Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Andrew with Fact HVAC. We are back with another In Good Company episode. I think this is episode, what, Steve? Like 7 or 8?
Oh, man, put me on the spot. Yeah, right now.
Yeah, so 7 or 8, one of the two. But thanks, everybody who likes, subscribes, and watches. So today we're actually hanging out with Jeff Craig from Pac West.
Thank you.
They're one of our partners, and we wanted to bring them in and talk a little bit about what they do in the industry and why we're excited to be working with you guys. But first, I want to learn a little bit about you, Jeff. How did you get in the industry? Kind of give us your background.
Yeah. So, growing up heavily involved in Boy Scouts, Scoutmaster at the time, did heating and cooling, doors and windows. So when you're in high school and you got to start paying for stuff, you go try to find a side job. I ended up working with him quite a bit. So just a grunt as far as that goes. Moved to California for college. Wanted to go be an outdoor adventure guide. Did that for about 4 years. But the entire time, both between California at college and then when I moved to Colorado, paid for everything by mainly fixing ice machines, pellet stoves, more refrigeration stuff at the time.
Right.
So after living in Colorado Springs for about a year and a half and deciding I did not like it, came back to Arizona, got fully back into the industry, went and got the piece of paper from RSI. Did 9 years in the field, almost 10. Got out of the field, went over to RE Michael and was a tech support guy for them for 5 years. And then for the last 3, I did tech support for 4 states and also ran a branch for them. Left them and went over to Friedrich. Was their regional technical manager for almost 2 years. So I ran the western part of Canada, half the United States, all the way down to Hawaii. Got a little bit tired of the travel and everything related to COVID because I did about 192 days on the road in 2019. So I'm at AHR 2020. And Nick Jones, one of the principal owners from Pac West Sales, and Kelly Fahey, they were both there. They came up and asked if I knew anybody in the Arizona market to get back on the side of things. When I was with the wholesales when Bosch first came out, so I got to support it from sales and from tech support. It's a great piece of equipment. So I told them, no, I don't know anybody. I want the job. So we worked that out, and I've been with Pac West now for just over 2 years. September 1st was 2 years.
So a huge span of experience from basic install service side all the way now up to really the sales distribution, understanding kind of the market trends.
Yep.
And what new things are kind of hitting the market as far as heating and cooling equipment goes.
Yeah,
right. That's awesome.
A little bit of nerd, and then I still believe that a true sales guy is that tech guy, the tech in the field, or a guy like you that actually understands. Didn't like finishing the sale, not getting the credit, because some guy that used to sell used cars, which actually happened to me, he gets the commission on it. So I was tired of being typecast and wanting to get into the sales deal. And Pac West specializes in guys that have the ability to work on the equipment and also know how to sell something.
So I want to backtrack a little bit. So tell me about your wilderness explorer. I think that's a thing from Up, but whatever. Kind of what did you do in that world, and what took you to Colorado?
So first and foremost, nerd, hardcore nerd. Love camping. But did Boy Scouts, got my Eagle Scout, and then there's a venture crew, which was once you did that, I was very involved in that, did assistant scoutmaster and stuff. Loved being outside, so I went to Feather River Community College in Quincy, California for an associate's degree. But it was outdoor adventure guiding. So I did a 2-month-long rafting trip. That got me 8 college credits, right? A month-long backpacking trip. That got me another like 6 credits. So that was a blast. Hiked the PCT. My hope growing up was to be the guy in the van down by the river.
Right.
And then when I got over to Colorado, I was bartending on Crested Butte on the ski mountain. And then in the off season, I would mainly kayak, did a little bit of raft guiding.
Okay.
But the best I ever got was $18 an hour. So wanted to make some money to go do what I love to do. So I fully intend to do that again.
Nice.
But that's if I'm not at home or working on an AC, I'm out in the middle of nowhere.
So where's your favorite place you've explored, done something at so far?
At a minimum, spread out in outside of Quincy, California. Hopefully it comes back. The big fire they had 2 years ago, that burned down like half of Northern California.
Right.
The city that they were stationed in, that was all over the news. That's where I went to college.
Oh, okay.
So anywhere between Tahoe and Chico.
Okay.
That whole part of the Sierra Nevadas is just gorgeous.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah, and then that means still my favorite spot. I did the PCT when I was 19, so I hiked from Mexico to Canada. I've seen the whole West Coast. That was 6.5 months, and that's still my
crazy.
favorite area.
Because where does it pick up in Mexico?
You're just basically right on the border.
Right on the border, right?
Yep, and then you go all the way up to Canada. We actually made it into Canada. We didn't know we were like a mile into Canada. So it was fun.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What I'm sure you guys encounter all kinds of crazy animals out there, but
Seen most of them.
yeah,
Bear, mountain lion, all of them.
that's super cool.
I like being outside.
I really believe that I really want to do that. I just don't know if I could do that.
I really want to do it again, and I know I probably couldn't hang it up. There's a little bit difference between being 19 and where I'm at now.
Right. Right. That's awesome. But that's super cool. I mean, that takes a lot of mental fortitude to get through that. Because how many people did you go with?
It was the now ex-girlfriend, the girlfriend at the time, my 4-month-old puppy, and 2 friends, one of which had to drop out.
Oh wow,
Yeah, they had a family issue. They made it about 4 months in.
that's
So
crazy.
mostly 4. At the last 2 months, we had 3 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Just the mental side of that, I'm sure it was pretty taxing by the time you got.
You hanging out with the same couple of people, walking every day, but it was still a blast.
That's so cool. That's awesome, man. Didn't know that about you. So that's super cool. So, we transition now kind of into the HVAC world. And again, knowing your experience and your background in it, we are a big fan of the Bosch systems. Bosch is your guys' primary product over at Pac West.
Yep.
I know, we've talked on our Instagram why we like it. We've done several posts about it. But kind of tell everybody why you guys really like it, especially on the consumer side. What makes Bosch such a unique and standout product to you?
I think it flows into consumer end from the technical end of things, but the number one thing is the brand name. So they're the 3rd largest manufacturer in the world. So it's the same Bosch that does appliances, car parts, tools, right? There's a lot of brand names out there I won't mention, but it's a quality brand name made by some third-party company. It's no longer associated with the original one. But what they focused on is the homeowners and the technicians. When you get brands of equipment that only focus on the retail perspective or the end user's perspective, that's when you get into issues with installation or communication or everything else along those lines. So what Bosch really did was talk to both, right? And come up with the highest efficiency system that they could that installs like a basic 14 SEER. So you get the quality brand name, you get the the low energy usage, significant energy savings, but it's a system that's easier to install, service, and maintain.
Right.
Compared to something that is communicating or larger, right? I mean, we can get into footprints. All the condensers are 29 1/4 by 29 1/4, which is significantly smaller. You've seen some of the other brands. My 5 tons less than 3 feet tall. One of my neighbors just got a new system put in, and that thing's roughly 5.5 foot tall.
Right.
So aesthetically, they're nicer looking. They range in dB from 56 to 79. Average human conversation is supposed to be 72 dB. I like to call them California patios here in Arizona. But when you walk out the back door, there's a 3-foot piece of concrete. There's the pool, and then
Right.
the one sitting area. That's where the AC is. The only time you're in the pool when it's hot, that's when your AC is running. You can't talk to anybody. And then full warranty. So it's 10-year parts, 10-year compressor, and Bosch is very proud of their name, rightfully so. So they don't private label for a contractor or another brand name, and they protect that brand name. So the support out of Bosch is phenomenal. I've dealt with, from the tech end of things, 7, 8 unitary lines and 5 different brands of mini splits, and Bosch is by far the easiest to work on as a tech. One of the best systems I've dealt with as a homeowner, and then the support is next to none.
Yeah, and that's you kind of hit on those pieces of it, and that's one of the big things, the multiple things that we like as well. The fact that it's quiet, the fact that it looks nice and doesn't take up as much space as some of the other products that are out there. And it's that name recognition. When our guys are talking to customers and they're in the home and there's already a Bosch dishwasher and Bosch refrigerator or stove, it's easy for them to equate the quality instead of brands they've never even heard of.
Yeah.
And so it's a great product. We're real excited about it. We've seen the growth just even in our company with people latching on to that brand. So from the technical side, what are some of the things that you really like that you see Bosch doing in the next 2 to 3 years that's really going to innovate the heating and cooling industry?
We got 2-part for that. One that they've done and are continuing to doing is making a system that's non-communicating. That is honestly one of my favorite parts. Fits more applications, and as you know, some of those communicating systems, not only is the stat, $500 to $1,500 than the whole process of setting it up. And then just hoping that the end user can use the iPad on the wall, right? So the fact that we can do that, but what's coming out in the future is even more exciting to me. So they just launched their 15 SEER product. So that hit Arizona about 5-6 weeks ago. Only fully inverter-driven 15 SEER that I know that's on the market. So that system goes from 33% rated to 110% rated at a very nice cost, right? Next year, we're at some point, I think it's third quarter, we're going to get a 16 SEER package unit.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we have a 19 SEER and an 18.5 SEER right now, but now we'll have a 16 SEER. So again, to hit more needs, right? But the connected 2.1 connected is what I'm most excited about. That just launched. They should be here in Arizona relatively soon. But it's our 20 SEER split system that comes with a module, right? And that module you can use if you don't have to use if you don't want to, but you install it in the system. It's quick plug it in, go through the app, but it allows the homeowner and the contractor to remote in. So the homeowner is going to be able to see energy usage month over month kind of thing. They have some helpful hints on how to reduce energy usage. If they ever had an issue, either a warning, a possible issue coming up, or an error, it'll let them know through the app, right? If FACT installed that system, it'll say, hey, call FACT, they'll come check it out. Then the contractor, since I come from the field, that's my favorite part. They're going to be able to remote and see energy usage, things like that. But you'll have a map that shows all the Bosch systems you installed. If it's green above it, it's good to go. If it's red, it's an error code, or if it's yellow, it's a warning, right? You click on that, say it's an error code, and it tells you what error code. It's going to give you some troubleshooting guidance before. So you could send a guy out on the field, you can hop on that computer and say, hey, it might be a thermistor error or something like that. Let's look at it. So you're a little bit more mentally prepared when you get to there. Speeds up time in the summer, right? And then when you're at the system, you're going to be able to use Bluetooth and check all those parameters that we're used to. So on the system, techs can check pressures, amp draws, target temp for the indoor coil, applied voltage, compressor discharge, superheat, actual run time, last error code. You can hit that with a button, which is really easy, but now they're going to be able to see that on their actual app, right? They'll see dip switch position, so we'll know if that's running at a 5 or a 4, if it's in accelerated cool or heat. It tells you all that, so there's some more built into it. My favorite thing, though, on that new app, you're able to take a screenshot, export it to a PDF, Excel, or email it.
Oh, wow.
So coming from the field, when you do an install or you do a service, right, you want that information to show the homeowner that it's good to go, brand new install, or hey, now it is repaired.
Right.
That'll speed up the paperwork time, and it'll give you more information than's probably necessary, but it's going to prove that you either installed it properly or serviced it properly.
Right.
We've got to use it on one guy, but a guy that new to the system a little bit, quality tech, but he was able to screenshot all that information for me, helping him troubleshoot that over the phone. That sped up the process probably a good 30 minutes.
That's crazy. And that's one of the big things that we've been waiting for, that really caught our attention in talking with you guys and Bosch, was that connected side of it, because that's really the next innovative piece of heating and cooling technology, really, right?
Definitely.
Is that real-time analysis of what's happening with a system. One, it gives customers peace of mind. It adds value to the contractors that are doing it. We looked at it and said, this is another way for us to provide value to our customers, especially on that install side.
Yeah. That
this large investment that people are making, when it's done, they have tangible proof that it's working right. And that everything is good to go. And that's super exciting. We're super stoked to get that connected stuff into our systems.
Also, the fact it's using cellular data, so it's not hooked up to the homeowner's Wi-Fi. Some people are hesitant about hooking anything up to Wi-Fi, but cellular works a little bit better than Wi-Fi, so we don't have to worry about somebody not paying the bill or the router being unplugged. So it's a little bit different than anybody else. And I got to point out, it's not new to Bosch, right? It's new to the North American market.
Okay.
They use this technology in Europe all the time, so you're not guinea pigs when you put it in. It's tested, it's proved to work. So, and then there's some really exciting stuff coming on the mini split end of things, the tankless side of things, the water source heat pump side of things. I rep everything Bosch in the States.
So one of the big things that we're kind of talking to everybody about, especially right now, and Steve, this will probably come out like in November-ish, right?
Yeah, it's going to be late November.
Okay. So kind of during this time, we're talking to everybody about some of the changes that are happening January 1. With new efficiency standards and all of that. How do you see the transition happening for homeowners? Going from, especially like somewhere in Arizona, right? Where when we drive around, we still see, 35, 40-year-old package units on the roof, right?
My neighbor's still got a 1971 Gettle on the house.
Yeah, and parts are getting harder to find. You can no longer mix and match systems coming January 1. But what do you see kind of the landscape going after that time?
Well, first, I like the M1 change. That might tick off some techs if they're paying attention. But my main reason to break it down to why I like it, so currently they test equipment at AHRI at 0.1 inches of static pressure. I've never been into a house that has 0.1 inches of static pressure.
And just so everybody knows, static pressure is pressure in your ductwork to make sure you have the correct airflow and things like that.
Yeah.
So
imagine filling up a balloon, right? As you blow that balloon, as it gets closer to being filled, it gets harder and harder. It's that outside pressure. So most is rated 0 to 0.8, as we know. 0.1 is unrealistic. That's like no ductwork on the house.
Right.
Now everything's going to 0.5. That's a little bit more realistic. I'd say half of the equipment I've seen out here landed at 0.5. So now they're getting true numbers for as far as energy consumption is concerned when it's actually installed into a real deal application, right? I like that. With that coming around, a lot of other manufacturers have had to retool and come out with new equipment. Mm-hmm. Everything Bosch has is already M1 certified, including that new 15 SEER. There's no changes into nomenclature or anything. It's just going to have the updated SEER 2 numbers. So we're ahead of the game.
Right.
I've already heard rumblings in the market right now to where you can't get other brands. They're either out of air handlers or out of condensers. They can't legally sell straight cools after the first. Heat pumps are kind of grandfathered in. But we're actually pushing energy efficiency. So what I see happening next year is another market shift or shakeup, right? Imagine before COVID, if you were a certain brand, that's all you bought. Right? A lot of people were brainwashed into certain brands. Those days are gone. So you need to have several
train washed is what we'll call it.
Yeah. So you need to have several different brand names to be out there. So the best will survive, or whoever's ahead of it, and I think Bosch is ahead of it.
Right.
Part of that M1 change, a lot of other brands are going inverter, right? Bosch is ahead of that game. Inverter's not new by any means.
Nope.
If you travel anywhere outside of the U.S., that's all they're using. The fact that we still move air through ductwork's kind of funny to me. So it's not new, right? But some of these brands are going to come out with a brand new piece of equipment. I don't know that they do the same testing. Bosch tests in the lab for 5 years and then field installs everything for a year. So that 15 SEER, they had 4 of them in Arizona and across the country for an entire year. So they go through both our seasons, summer, hot and less hot, but they actually put them in where it gets hot, cold, and freezing. But they actually test them. I point that out because the last thing you want to do as a contractor is get this brand new piece of equipment, January 2nd or whatever.
Right.
Install it and be the guy to find out that the software is bad or the wiring or the board. And we know that's going to happen, right? Some manufacturers aren't going to get the equipment in the field, so that's going to hit homeowners, right? Cost is going to go up. I'm anticipating, not on the Bosch end, but in general, significant price increases.
Right.
Some of these guys are building brand new equipment, so there could be 15+% increase again next year on other competitive brands. So basically, it's going to be harder to get a piece of equipment, right? You might not get what you were sold. You don't know if it's going to work right. When you go with a Bosch, it's tried and true, it's tested, it's proved, and the equipment's good in stock. So it's going to change a lot for people. But I do appreciate that they're focusing us on energy consumption.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about partnering with Bosch is knowing that they were putting the work in ahead of time to be prepared for this transition. So many people were just waiting to the last minute. And unfortunately in our industry, that's always happened. When the transition from R22 to 410A was going to happen, everybody knew for 20 years that transition was going to happen. But everybody just kind of kicked the can to the last minute. But Bosch really focused on making sure they were ready to go, because we're anticipating, we're telling customers right now, and even in our advertising, that we're anticipating 20 to 30% increases January 1 because of all of these changes that are happening. And it's going to be a crazy time. But I'm excited about it because it'll allow, like you said, the really good equipment to rise to the top, and the contractors that embrace change, embrace technology, to kind of set themselves, cut above the rest.
Definitely. As you know, there's a huge age gap in our industry. So
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens as all this new stuff comes out. Who still stays, who's willing to learn more, or who excels above the rest,
right.
I guess you could say.
And that's why we like working with you guys. We really align in that vision of the industry and the products, and it's one of the reasons why we have a great time with you guys, and why we wanted to bring you on to talk a little bit about the Bosch product and kind of what you see happening in the industry and all that great stuff. Kind of tell everybody, where can they find Pac West?
So Pac West sales, been in business a little over 15 years now. corporate, or the mothership as I call it, is based out of Mukilteo, Washington, which is just outside of Seattle. We're in 9 states, so we cover the entire West Coast, Alaska, and Hawaii. You can find us on LinkedIn or pacwestsalesinc.com. You can pull up the line card. We've got a little biopsy of everybody that's part of the team.
Awesome.
Things like that. Bosch is a primary line down here. Up in the Northwest, we do a lot of hydronic stuff, so it's not our only line that we carry. We carry some of the top tier lines out there, but Bosch is by far our favorite.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thanks, man, for coming and hanging out with us and kind of schooling us and everybody on the Bosch product and finding out a little bit about you and kind of your wilderness exploration and
Appreciate it. It's
hiking
fun.
from Mexico to Canada, man. That's crazy.
I love doing it. Welcome.
That's awesome.
Come down again. It was a good time.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, and like and subscribe always to our channels, socials, all that fun stuff. And Steve, I think we're done, man.